Hi and welcome in La Gazette du Fennec. I want today to have your position about Nabil Bentaleb.
I think he's had a fantastic season again. Today showed that he's a player with immense potential because he was in against Cesc Fabregas, a World Cup winner, but I think he more than held his own. He and Mason have developed such a good partnership together, and you see that he's one of the main driving forces really behind Tottenham's success. What is noticeable is the fact that he's still sometimes tiring in games. I think it's understandable having had the trip away and playing so well at the African Cup of Nations. But at the age of 21, and when you consider how few miles he's got on the clock, I think that he's a player with a fantastic future ahead of him.
Okay, in Africa we compare Yaya Touré as Nabil Bentaleb. What is what do you think about this comparison?
I think if Nabil Bentaleb ends up being as good a player as Yaya Touré, then he will have a magnificent career ahead of him. It's too early to say that he's there at the moment. But then you're comparing someone who has played in Champions League finals and who's played nearly 500 games to somebody who's still played well under 100 matches. There's no doubt that the potential that he's got means that he has a chance of being the Algerian equivalent. But at the moment, it is about potential. It's not about him having got to that level as yet.
In Premier League, we have two other Algerian players who are Riyad Mahrez and Mehdi Abed. Do you know them?
Yeah, I've seen Mehdi play for Newcastle quite a few times. I think he also is a player with a big future ahead of him. Well, obviously he's some way behind in his development behind Bentaleb, but he is a player that, if he was given an opportunity to play week in, week out, I think would do a very good job for Newcastle. I don't know whether perhaps he might need a loan move to a championship club to really establish himself and then come back to be playing Premier League football regularly. I don't know that at the moment he would be someone that the next Newcastle manager would want to rely on week in, week out. I haven't seen so much of Riyad Mahrez, but obviously he's got a decent record. If you look at the ratings he's had in games, then he's done very well for himself. It's difficult for any player to be successful at the side who's bottom of the Premier League, but I think that if Leicester are going to be able to launch a battle against relegation, then probably Mahrez is one of the players that Nigel Pearson will look upon to be able to deliver for him.
And how do you feel about Algerians player in Premier League history?
Sorry, say again?
How do you feel about Algerians player in the Premier League history?
In what context?
How do you say? How do you feel about Algerian player who played in England?
I think it's wonderful to see that the Premier League has become so much more cosmopolitan over the last 20 years or so. Maybe in the early days of the Premier League, there were not so many players who were able to come in and to have an impact because of the differences in the style of football. That hasn't been the same at all now, and it's great that players like Bentaleb are able at such a young age to establish themselves in the Premier League and be successful.
Do you remember Nadir Belhadj or Hassan Yebda, who played for Portsmouth?
Yes, saw Belhadj on numerous occasions. In fact, I saw him play in France before he came over and played for Portsmouth, and it was a wonderful left foot he had, but he just didn't quite have the consistency that perhaps was necessary. But it's good, and you hope that there is going to be a steadier stream of players from countries like Algeria who can come over and make an impact.
Okay, thank you.
That's a pleasure.